I think we're seeing a shape, and I would call the shape Sabotage. Hello, it's Tim at the Mystery Font. Live long and prosper. You know, Sabotage. Like a shape we don't expect that comes in with harm. And indeed, because we said it couldn't happen here and who would want to do that, we left it unattended. But now we need to pay attention to what is opening and what does it look like when people start to realize that there are floodwaters. And the floodwaters, or the flames, are coming because there is wartime sabotage happening from an American White House seizing power against the Constitution. What are we seeing? What are we seeing in Texas? Sabotage is serious. I fear we will recognize too late that we are experiencing asymmetrical warfare from the invasion that Stephen Miller is projecting onto other people. I recognize Stephen Miller projecting onto immigrants this escalated sense of, he calls immigrants an invasion. He escalates and perturbs protesters too into insurrectionists. These are really dangerous ways that fascists bend language, and Stephen Miller really has a brand with the way that he uses language. He's the architect of what, it's pretty clear at this point, we would hope, to some, is ethnic cleansing. Are there any reasons to see Doge as other than sabotage? We have ethnic cleansing and we have ongoing sabotage, and in at least 70 deaths in Texas, we have clear repercussions of sabotage. Pearl Harbor was not a loss of satellites of the day. Radar didn't go out for months somewhere, did it? There was an unsuspected attack. But sabotage from the White House to unleash another dark triad narcissist into data that no one without clearance should be able to access, let alone copy and send to a totalitarian terrorist holding like Palantir. Theft of agency, theft of intellectual property, theft of birthright, as an American, theft of birthright as a human being, there's vast, there are vast fields of theft going on, of futures. Part of the promise of America is what we're building together. And the enormous sucking sound is a straw somehow affixed to a tube that now holds us all, and it sucks here. Creating pain and creating essentially an announced initiative to reduce our nation to a third of its size and the color of Stephen Miller is itself absolutely part of white supremacist terrorism. It's not a joke. It's not an acceptable thing to propose. And who disconnects networks of satellites from NOAA? Except a traitor. Who, except a traitor, unleashes the sudden announcement that services have been interrupted or halted to come from a flood at your door, or the announcement that there is a potential change in your immigration status to come from a boot on your body, or to announce with waking up concussed in a car, taking you somewhere, to realize, because of the ideas you have about a country where people are treated as equal and where something like an assault on diversity is known as an assault on everyone, rather than some acceptable cloak for the Ku Klux Klan. I fear it's not very widespread, the conversation. Not very widespread and not out loud enough, the conversation about what exactly the problem is with Stephen Miller. Is it not clear that Stephen Miller is a white supremacist working to sow brown replacement and mass murder? Is it not clear that the culture of ICE comes directly from him and the people he chooses? It's not a mistake that Tom Homan is back. It's not a mistake that Stephen Miller, otherwise known as M, is back. He never left. America First Legal was part of Project 2025, and I think only removed from its listing on their website in the year previous to the election. But they were there. So, what do we have? We have concentration camps, essentially extermination camps. Certainly if people are being rounded up for being brown at least 3,000 people a day, which is the quota they're looking to reach. And they're talking about the Supreme Court has said it's permissible to do to people who are part of America, to do to Americans, the kinds of things that a bigot like Stephen Miller or Kevin Roberts or J.D. Vance would report that other communities are doing as a sign of what we need to defend ourselves against. Stephen Miller has a band of white supremacist lynch mobbers roaming the country, kidnapping people, battering people, attacking people, maiming them, certainly giving people post-traumatic stress disorder, certainly disrupting and maybe ruining their lives, and definitely for hundreds and seemingly, in this country, thousands of people, it's rupture of due process that has them detained or experiencing constant torture that they do not know. They do not know whether or not they will escape. They do not know why they're there. But we can say that it is clear that the malice of Stephen Miller, of the villain known as M, that the malice of M is M's own delicious sweet wine. There is something wrong there. I think we should get him help rather than continuing to sniff the bouquet of the ethnic cleansing catastrophe he is breathing into being. He is a menace to humanity. He is a menace to humanity. He is a shame upon the entire existence of this nation. He is a trampolining of and with Donald Trump. He should be arrested immediately. These are findings of the mystery font. These are not the only findings, but these are findings of the mystery font 42. And how are you? You see, we are experiencing massive distortions in the field of reality. You see, I know we are all experiencing massive distortions in the field of reality. And these are findings of the mystery font in North Minneapolis. Who is this mysterious figure we have heard so much about? Upon everyone's lips, the falsehood. The falsehood? But who is the falsehood? Because every day, seemingly at every minute, there's another dastardly event accompanied by a puff of smoke and a smell of 100-year-old diapers and death. All calling cards of the falsehood. But who is the falsehood? Who could it be? And does M have any information that could lead us to the falsehood's true identity? These are questions. Are we with someone who is safe? Who is asking these questions? Do I trust you? One of my own ilk. You see, it's a comfort because at least you understand what it means that my walk. Sabotage. When one trusts another to hold the watch, it's quite a lot of trust. The first con artist, called Con Artist, got the name by asking if someone might lend their watch to be safely returned. You see, it's a comfort because at least you understand what it means that my watch is broken. At least I have the confidence that I'm with another professional, decent person. Have you confidence in me to lend me your watch until tomorrow? You see, it really reminds me quite a lot of someone else. You are in an abusive relationship. Don't politicians ask us for the watch? Boundary violations are one common grooming tactic of a narcissist or dark triad personality. If someone in your life points into a camera knowing you'll be looking at the view screen, and pulls their finger like a trigger, looking into your eyes, saying, I could shoot someone in the street and not lose anyone. It is a good indicator of a bad situation. You are in an abusive relationship. Who has leveraged and climbed upon a fog of falsehood? Who has donned the falsehood? Who is the falsehood? You are in an abusive relationship. Shocking boundary violations. Shocking boundary violations are how a predator asserts dominance, such as, say, the shocking boundary violation of a well-known and very wealthy predator like Elon Musk entering and occupying offices under, fiat, but without clearance, rupturing process that endangers everybody. The shocking boundary violation of allowing that to happen, of him going on with this, of no one stopping him, of allowing people who are demonstrably antithetical to the type of person and behavior that would demonstrate trust, that upon multiple levels we just see sabotage or such incompetence that it works the same damage. Sabotage. Blistering, stupid, fiery sabotage, because how in the world does nonsense like this happen? It happens exactly because of Doge. It happens exactly because of Trump. But it is definitely both. It's incredibly insane. But we are looking at sabotage that involves the president and the White House and is traceable directly to everything that Elon Musk has done. And that now, and I suppose from the start, in terms of what directs and who directs, the involvement by Russ Vought is not new. He is an architect of Project 2025 and the appointee at OMB. And he is a racist and a white supremacist terrorist who has a position of severe power, of extensive power, but he is a severe predatory criminal. Like Stephen Miller, Russ Vought is a danger to humanity, just like M. Just like Stephen Miller, M. Russ Vought is a threat to our species, to humanity. The incredible malice and the eugenics-driven and racism-driven, bigotry-driven policy as weaponry. 1.2 million people killed by Stephen Miller and Trump and COVID is just the start if we don't stop them. Holding Elon Musk accountable for what he has done to the planet and to our nation already. Because how did this happen? And how did Russ and Elon and Stephen and Curtis and JD and Peter Thiel, how did they come up with this marvelous whole dealio? It's so special. We didn't just happen here. This is not just a strange intersectional moment of these particular individuals and concerns. We are, after all, in mass ethnic cleansing happening at once around us. We are we're watching footage of what we all understand. Well, most of us, I think, understand is actually happening, in the last day in Texas, other than I've heard some tell of people, people even related to politicians, talking about devastating natural disasters and people being left completely unaware of them because of sabotage. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing that it hasn't been worse already. It's amazing that worse things have not already happened. But you'd think if people were actually the best people, when someone appointed to sort out natural disasters or FEMA or anything of these nature, if it was found out that in fact they did not understand that we had a hurricane season, then either that person would need to go or they would need to do, somersault drills of incredible, like, shows of competence and kind of showing up to school us with the massive crash course and update they did to their understanding, and to understand how to help other people make the leap of catching up to the recommended update of state-of-the-art knowledge. Because you gutted the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. You gutted NOAA. This administration and DOGE gutted NOAA. What best speaks to the basic act? It is treason, yes, but in what variety? The act is sabotage. Yes, it is seditious. It is treasonous. And yes, this was done by the one and only sweet baby Danield. Of course, with the wanting, loving, aching, moaning, glaring help of M. Stephen Miller. But seriously, the days will move on. How do we understand what we are looking at? Because at every turn, we are told, when we hear that people are in trouble, when we're hearing a message of what we can expect, it's not just nothing. It's that we should be ashamed to ask. That we should be ashamed to ask for a nation that is supposedly good or great to take care of people. Stephen Miller has been lying about a great many things. But one of them is that the invitation of liberty to the world was placed there later as an afterthought and didn't have anything to do with the Statue of Liberty or its gift or its arrival here. That's categorically false, because the poem The New Colossus was written by Emma Lazarus for the statue to raise money for its pedestal years before it arrived. But once it was proposed specifically for the Goddess of Liberty, delivered by Bartholdi and Gustave Eiffel. We're looking at the same kind of planning and work that built Eiffel's skeleton and the exterior, a sculptural statue of Liberty by Bartholdi. But this is a plan of flooding zones with shit to remove regulation, to remove people and oversight, to remove systems that protect us, calling all of it waste and fraud, when none of these things are waste or fraud. Human need is real. The need for human health is real and actual. The need of health is real. All human life has dignity. We should recognize very clearly sabotage. It would make sense if Donald Trump had actually technically declared war against American citizens, or against American citizens who aren't rich white men, white straight acting men. But if we recognized that we were actually experiencing asymmetrical warfare now, if we recognized that even people paying millions of dollars to rub elbows with Trump get conned, do we not recognize wartime atrocity and sabotage to our population when it is killing our population? We are occupied. We are occupied. America is occupied by the falsehood. If only we knew who this pernicious villain, this saboteur of fact and truth, if only we could figure out, if only we knew who is the falsehood. If only we knew. But at least maybe now we're starting to recognize that whoever is doing this, or whatever name might be appropriate for them, this is sabotage. The only question is, when were the people who were told that someone was holding watch going to find out their lives were hanging on chance? When were they going to find out that it's a miracle they made it through the last few months? Or that at any time something could go wrong, that the warning systems that had been canceled would betray. And it might be one young girl, or it might be more than that. But this is minor compared to what is coming because of continuing sabotage, continuing lack of repair, and terrorism. Terrorism and police state sent into our streets by ICE. We are under siege. It's not brand new, but it's definitely happening to you. It's sadly happening to everyone, including the people participating. It's happening to everyone. We are all within the scope of this cycle that need not take us over, but if we don't stop it, it's already too late. If we don't stop it, we won't. We will not have an opportunity. Stephen Miller is, again, in addition to this, conducting ethnic cleansing. But let's talk about intersectionality. Because just like with COVID, the point of horrifically dangerous and torturing detention centers, part of the point is that if someone were to get sick there, it would magnify and potentially make things worse, that it would be a hot zone, say for contagion. We are looking at massive genocidal cuts along eugenicist ideas coming from the big, beautiful bill, so-called. We're seeing millions of people under financial abuse and attack by a nation purporting to take care of them, lying about the effects of a capped and soon-to-expire no tax on tips nonsense. This flooding, this doesn't stack up and quiver at the sight of a few $100s in somebody's pocket over a year, because that's not how it shakes out. We're looking at people having to deal with this as essentially a surprise attack. That's how sabotage operates. And interestingly, that is how ICE operates. I mean, we know that they're coming, but they operate with malice and ambush, just like a natural disaster. Just like a natural disaster that no warning arrives about, where you find that someone has cut the telegraph line, or that the telegraph company decided not to fulfill the contract and hightailed it back to Paris, or hightailed it back to Kathmandu with all their winnings from the casino. But somebody finds out, and the sabotage is coming. From Trump and Stephen Miller. And the falsehood, whoever that is. But we see their calling card everywhere. I just obviously have to mention. Again, I believe there's reason to think that potentially Stephen Miller has information that could lead us to the identity of the falsehood. But at the very least, maybe we should also consider that Donald Trump may have information that could lead us to the identity of the falsehood. He, of course, has called worldwide for the identity of the falsehood to be drummed out into reality. Again and again, he's screamed it at the top of his lungs. I think we really are insane if we don't put our mouths around the word sabotage together and talk about what the shape in our mouth makes happen in our minds. Is that not what we're looking at? Is it at all familiar, maybe like being told in January 2020 by Trump that it was safe to Sound is back. Essentially, we have to deal with the fact that this is sabotage. This is not how an administration that is a valid, legitimate administration that cares about its citizens behaves. This is how someone treats a company that they want to destroy and sell for scrap after picking over for valuable jewelry. This is decimating, punishing violence. Decimating, punishing violence upon Americans for existing, for having need. That's a good thing, having need. Not decimating it, but having need is a good thing. That means we're alive. Sufficing for need, sufficing well for need, it's the most basic thing. A country that cannot do that is a failure, does not have any. These are the most basic things. These are, what are we building a wall around? What are we protecting from anyone if we are farmed and abandoned and enslaved and unprotected from scams or from sabotage meant to enrich people in power, who will be ready to buy up property and farms and equipment and debt, and who are demonstrably working now with reckless, ruthless abandon to create ethnic cleansing. Right? Sabotage is closely linked and works in concert with ethnic cleansing. So, now what? We have ongoing sabotage, including ethnic cleansing meant to do horrific damage. We don't need to listen to more than one interaction with ICE to understand there is a cultural edge of hatred. And there seems to be really kind of a deranged antipathy as well to the idea that this is unacceptable and not to be expected in America, that we would not be prepared for something like this coming. But once again, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, was sabotaged by Elon Musk and Doge. Noah would certainly have some bearing in this situation, would it not? And who fucked with Noah? Of course, we know Noah was sabotaged by Doge. Noah was sabotaged by Doge. Noah was sabotaged by Doge. I don't know that anyone can refute that. You might characterize the devastating cuts differently than sabotage. I wouldn't. I don't think that's a safe bet. I don't think that's a safe, arguable position, really. What is it but sabotage or an attack on a community to remove the basic trust of holding the watch? You know, like that first person they ever labeled the con artist, it was because he told people, you know, I having such a great conversation with you, it makes me realize I need to get to my appointment, but my watch is broken. How am I going to make it to my appointment? But you, well, I would trust you with my watch. Is there any way that you'd have the confidence in me to give, would you give me your watch until tomorrow and I'll return it to you?
One of my own ilk. You see, it's a comfort because at least you understand what it means that my watch is broken.
But isn't this what a politician asks us to? And just like someone who we would say, sure, I will lend you my watch and I understand you'll return it, that in the case of a politician, the watch has the meaning as well of holding attention over a land which may turn against the homestead, or against the city, or against the craft in which you're all traveling. That someone says, I'll keep watch, I'll look out the back, or I'll stay up tonight, or I'll be in charge of the group that's doing patrols in this unsafe territory. That someone, like Colonel Jessup would say, is on a wall doing things that make people safe. And so if they were to see, say, a storm brewing, say, they would know there's one person who you tell, that person who asked to be the one presiding over all, so that whether or not they were on the wall, they got the call because they know what to do. They would know how to tell us all what's happening and how do we stay safe. That's not what happened during COVID. We were not warned about the actual danger for at least 6 weeks, allowing us to lose over 1 million lives. That was not unintentional. And now we're here. And my point is, we sadly
one of my own ilk.
Sadly, even though Donald Trump did betray his oath and drop the watch in the dirt, like the watch he had sworn to hold, he ruptured that. He broke his oath and he turned against keeping the watch for America and kept the watch for holding power himself. That betrayal, that was treason. That's a treasonous act. So when he said he did nothing wrong, and then said, I'm coming back, and we heard him sing with the January 6th convicted seditioners, the violent attackers, who he would later pardon. He went and recorded himself doing the national anthem over them singing or grunting the national anthem, this Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem together. How was that not clear to us as a way to further sabotage our morale and demoralize us? And how did we not see that and releasing the January 6th choir essentially statement of allegiance against the Constitution by Trump and those insurrectionists, twisting our Pledge of Allegiance and twisting our anthem as their own anthem, those who had broken and tried to hold power against the Constitution. That was a statement on a global stage from which they profited millions, confessing allegiance to sabotage the United States. And we're here now. We're here now. And those freed January 6th violent terrorists and hoodwinked patriots, hoodwinked in to do terrorism against our country, they are now pardoned, and many of them joining ICE to be a massive Ku Klux Klan Gestapo. This is sabotage and occupation. But it is definitely sabotage. When FEMA repeatedly, Donald Trump tells us, will not be doing anything for these kinds of events, and when these kinds of events are fomented into disasters by surprise, there's no coverage to tell you this was going to happen. Oops. Now is the time to focus on the wanton, intentional violence that was done here. So the death toll is almost assuredly rising, but the point is, this is just, it's not merely an isolated thing. the iceberg of Project 2025 is starting to hit. It doesn't hit all at once because it hits some of our defenses out ahead of us at shore here, or out ahead of our craft. But the iceberg manifest destiny and Ku Klux Klan patriarchal terror, the iceberg Project 2025 is hitting ground. And that massive iceberg is splintering into a force of many, many, many white supremacist, emotionally insecure baby men, incels, without the ability to self-regulate, and wooed by the concept of what is essentially a lynch mob. ICE is a lynch mob conducting ethnic cleansing for Stephen Miller. ICE is a lynch mob conducting ethnic cleansing for Stephen Miller, and the sabotage to networks that allow emergencies to spiral or to hurt people that would be out of harm's way is only part of how humanity that stabilizes support and empathy and wokeness to be good to one another is attacked by extremists. This is the virtue signal. What is wrong after all with the virtue signal? The virtue signal from the mystery font. What is wrong with a virtue signal indeed, unless when you get to the source you do not find virtue there? We're supposed to have virtue here, not an ornament, but what the word is supposed to describe, that is supposed to sustain us because of the behavior in us that it describes after the fact or in real time, sustainably. We do not have that amongst people who would lie to us about what they plan to do, so horrific theft of rights, to gaslight and say the previous administration, the last American president, was trying to take away rights, while we see now actual, factual fascism going after due process and habeas corpus themselves. People already thrown to extermination, to torture, without due process. That is where M is taking us. We are being driven to hell, and due process is supposed to protect us from that. We are experiencing sabotage. Flood the zones with shit, eh? Flood the zones with shit. Flood all zones with shit. Yes. Yes, Steve Bannon. Yes, Stephen Miller. Yes, Russ Vought. Yes, Elon Musk. We recognize your shape. We recognize the shape that keeps coming back again and again. Sabotage. Flooding the zones with shit. We recognize. we recognize what we need to understand. Is sabotage. Kremlin's conducting sabotage. That's Kremlin's Ku Klux Klan allegiant bigots colluding with the Kremlin and conducting sabotage. Horrific, ridiculous, deadly sabotage.
Six the feet of separation, 6 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 6 the feet of separation. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Prepared people can plan and plan quick. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He meant to draw iceberg Titanic. He didn't mean to cause a panic, yet 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. The Nazis lost in World War II as Allied radar read their crew, and what we knew was probably due. The great American wall builder said, I know what to do. I can use you. Just let it through. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Yet 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. To tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian to guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian to guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian to guard a tree and leave a stump. That's not what I call guardian. You embody a sure trump. You're a real card, your father's son. You're a real card, your father's suit. You're a real card, your father's loot. It's not the thing you swear upon, it's what your heart was. It's what your heart was. It's what your heart will not abandon. It's what your heart won't abandon. It's what your heart won't abandon. It's how your word becomes action. It's that your word's an honest one. How long must you menace us? You do doubt the new Colossus. You're a real card. You're a real card. You're a real card. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation.
They didn't see it. I guess they said one.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was the thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. I guess they said once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't, I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame. I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was the thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was the thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it.
Does this blithering idiot not realize that the reason it happened in seconds was because sabotage prevented us from knowing it was coming in time, prevented the people who needed to know from knowing in time, or others reaching out? Do you not recognize? If you don't recognize, that's cataclysmic incompetence, disqualifying incompetence. If you do realize, then it's volition to do great harm. So the question here is it volition or incompetence? What is it that categorically disqualifies Donald Trump from power?
The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty.
So, ladies and gentlemen, siblings of all ages, what do we think? Is it incompetence? Is it volition? Or is it somewhere in between? You know, it's more or less trivial as to how we judge Donald Trump. Because the question's answer holds the question's answer. You see, what disqualifies him? It's one or the other, or somewhere along the continuum between pure incompetence and pure volition. Because if he understood at all what he was doing, there's volition. And if he didn't understand it at all, or was stupid, or unable, incapable, it really doesn't matter why the bed is full of sour shit. The bed is full of sour shit. Who shat the bed? Doge and Donald Trump shat the bed. What qualifies shitting the bed like this? Nothing. Nothing would make this acceptable. How did it happen? Is he deeply incompetent, or is he deeply guilty of meaning to do this? Is the sabotage intentional, or is it maybe being taken advantage of by Project 2025 to simply do more damage? In any case, the damage, allowing it or making it happen, either one is totally unacceptable and completely disqualified. Are there any other situations like this where it's pretty clear that we have either incompetence or volition? Could it be? Could it be that there might be another situation in which maybe the incompetence of someone, or really the only other option being volition, would be the same continuum laid onto another situation? Let's think. What about
We are more near the break. We can ease any ache. Everything we have took, everything we can take. Six the feet of separation. Six the fear.
an excellent example? 6 the feet of separation, such a situation. Why, yes. I mean, Donald Trump called that situation into being. He was not only president of the party that he called to have a wild time, if party is the right word, but he was president of the country at the time too. He was presiding over the whole thing, doubly so. And this is what happened. So the question is, with everything that he was already culpable for on January 5th, with everything that he then made happen or allowed to happen on January 6th, is the damning, disqualifying nature of that thing happening disqualifying showing volition, or disqualifying showing incompetence, or both?
The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual.
The falsehood will tell you that facts aren't factual, actually. But at some point, one needs to look at it. What in that disqualifying, ridiculous fiasco, what kind of thing are we looking at? Did he not mean to do it? Or did he mean to do it? Because he was in charge. So did he not mean to almost break the country, or did he mean to break the country and fail to break the country? Was it incompetence or volition? A man who said, "Go ahead, hang my vice president," was it incompetence or volition when he chose himself over the nation? Was it incompetence or volition when he decided to lie about the seriousness of COVID for 6 weeks plus, assuring that 1 million people would die? Was it incompetence or volition? Was it incompetence or volition when he threatened to enslave women and end abortion? Was it incompetence or volition when he started demonizing diversity, equity, inclusion, and access in direct contravention of equality and human rights? What disqualifies Donald Trump What disqualifies Donald Trump? What disqualifies Donald Trump? What disqualifies Donald Trump? It's the mystery font bidding you be well, live long and prosper. That's what my hand signal tells. Live long and prosper and stand for what you stand for. Stand for it well. We stand for a spell. Stand for that spell well. Word. It is the mystery. And that is the President of the United States telling us that he doesn't think we need to reinstate the people who are doing the jobs that tell people when storms are coming, as if we are waste and fraud. You know, just like Doge has told us that we are waste and fraud, that our human needs and our vulnerabilities show that we are fraud and waste. Why in the world would we think that we should be safe? Good gracious.
Once in 100 years, they've never seen anything like this, so.
Who in the world is so in the Q alt? Who is so head up their cult that they don't hear someone saying, it came in seconds, when that's what a warning system is there to prevent. He wants us to die unless we're wealthy enough to have our own system or buy a helicopter. He wants human beings, that's Americans, to die. The people who are being taken to concentration camps are Americans. If you don't like that they're brown and that makes you say they're not Americans like other Americans, you have cancer and Sabotage has worked on you. Please see to it, because all human life is sacred, such that it is insane.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years, they've never seen it.
Very talented people without the systems you and Doge have sabotaged.
Anything like that, so
and
I
Doge
wouldn't. I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame the camp. They're trying to blame. It's just a horrible thing. But no,
we blame sabotage. We blame the lack of what you stole. We blame you for stealing systems and people's paychecks. We blame you for sabotage. It is sabotage. It is sabotage. And this preening, wincing pomp of little circumstance who makes himself meaningful via torturing us.
I wouldn't say that, no.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not.
He would think not. He would think not. He says that he would think not. He says he would think
This was
not.
a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw.
That's why you have radar.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it.
That's why you have radar. That's why. That's why you have radar. That's why you have warning systems. That's why you pay those salaries. That's why those people have that expertise. That's why they studied those fields of science and investigation. That's why you don't sabotage, vandalize, and destroy things you do not understand. It was sabotage. Noah and what happened are related. Noah and other cuts by Doge, that wave has done massive damage, and this is just one of the first reports. Anyone saying this is not the time to address it literally wants more to happen, or is incapable of understanding that this is exactly the time when we need to stop more from coming, or be ready to understand how to see what now we have been blinded from seeing. Because the systems that they have sabotaged us from being able to utilize are still out. And Donald Trump is saying they're not coming back. America was sabotaged by Doge. America was sabotaged by Doge. It is part of Project 2025. Noah was sabotaged by Doge. America was sabotaged by Doge.
Feet of separation. 6 degrees of separation. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. 6 feet of separation. didn't mean to cause a panic. Prepared people can plan and plan quick. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He meant to draw iceberg Titanic. He didn't mean to cause a panic, yet 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. The Nazis lost in World War II. As Allied radar read their crew, and what we knew was probably due. The great American wall builder said, I know what to do. I can use you. Just let it through. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Yet 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. 6 the feet of separation. To guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian. To guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian. To guard a tree and leave a stump. I don't perceive a guardian. To guard a tree and leave a stump. That's not what I call guardian. You embody a jewel trump. You're a real card, your father's son. You're a real card, your father's suit. You're a real card, your father's loot. It's not the thing you swear upon. It's what your heart was. It's what your heart was. what your heart will not abandon. It's what your heart won't abandon. It's what your heart won't abandon. It's how
floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't, I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame the camp. They're trying to blame. It's just a horrible thing. But no, I wouldn't say that, no.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't, I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame the camp. They're trying to blame. It's just a horrible thing. But no, I wouldn't say that, no.
Floods, do you think...
So it wasn't your fault for stopping the warnings. You're not going to have those people rehired. You're just terrorizing with, it would have been a waste to have their lives protected by the people you will not rehire, I guess. What kind of atrocious human being is this man?
The federal government needs to hire... Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't, I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame the camp. They're trying to blame. It's just a horrible thing. But no, I wouldn't say that, no.
Floods, do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was a thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So I wouldn't, I mean, people are trying to blame the school. They're trying to blame the camp. They're trying to blame. It's just a horrible thing. But no, I wouldn't.